one. Lot number one is the 1979. It's the Malaguti Cavalcone. Look at this one, to be offered with no reserve today. It's a rare 50cc example. Just going to let the people online. We said we'll start at 11 o'clock. I'm a little bit early, so I'm waiting for my clock to go before we start on this one. But if you're online, feel free to press your bid and get it going. It's 11 o'clock now, so we're going to start. Here we go, lot number one then. We got a couple of telephones, I believe. See the telephones there, ready to go. You've got 500 online. I'm going to go 600 and 700 is my bid at the minute. At 700, we're bid. At £700 is the bid at the minute. 8's bid. 850, 900. I'll take 50 again. At 900 a bid. 1,000's bid. Okay, we'll take the jump bid. I'm going to go 1,100 with me. At 1,100's bid. 1,200's bid now. I'm out. Commission bidder's out on the telephone at £1,200. At 1,200 is the bid. First lot of the day. No reserve. It must be sold today. At 1,200. At 1,200 is the bid. 1,300 now. The other telephone's in. At 1,300. Damien's telephone's in. At 1,300. 14's bid. At 14 with Will's telephone now. At 1,400. Would you like to go 15? At 1,400. At 1,400 on the telephone. Would anyone else like to come in? We'll take another 50 if they're nice and quick. At 1,400 the bid. Are you coming in online? Looking for you now. Hovering away at £1,400. I'm going to go once on the telephone at 1,400. Twice. Finished and done. And selling now with you then, Will, at £1,400. Your telephone, 1,400. Thanking you on the telephones there. Number two of the day then. Lot number two. The 2005 Ducati 1000 SS, this one then. Low mileage example there, 3,578 miles reading on the clock on this one. It's a 992cc V-twin as well. Original bike, looks great. Going to start with my commission bids here. I'm going to 1,000, 1,200, 1,400 is bid. At 1,400, 1,600, 1,700's bid. 1,800. I'm going to have to go 2,000 with me. I'll take 2-1 if you're coming back in. At 2,000, my commission bidder now. At 2,000 is the bid. At 2,000 here on the book with me at 2,000. Would anyone like another 100 on this one? 2-1. 2-1's bid. Thank you on the telephone. At 2-1's bid. I'm out. You're in at 2,100. At 2-1 the bid. 2-2's online. At 2,002. At 2,200 with you at the minute in East Yorkshire, 2-3 telephone. At 2-3 bid. At 2,003, East Yorkshire, would you like to go again? At 2,003. At 2,003. And it's on outright sale, so make no mistake. 2,004. At 2,4 the bid. At 2,004. Would you like 2,5? 2,5 already. At 2,005. 2,6. 2,6 is bid. It's running off online. At 2,600 is the bid. At 2,600 with you online. At 2,600 in the West Midlands at the minute. At 2,600, I'll take 50 if it tempts you back in. At 2,600, are we finished and done on the telephone? At 2,000, 2,650 already online. 2,650's bid. 2,700. 2,700's back in. At 2,700 is bid. At 2,727 it sells today. 2,750 it goes on. At 2,750 we're bid now. 2,750. At 2,750, 2,800. At 2,800. At 2,850 back in now. 2,850 is the bid. At £2,850 we're bid now here online. West Yorkshire, you're in. At 2,850 is the bid. Hammers up for the first time then. And 2,900. At 2,009, go 50 again if you're coming in online. At 2,900 is the bid. Would anyone else in the room like to come in? A Ducati's getting away. At 2,950 back in. At 2,950, your bid online. At 2,950, 3,000. Let's go 3,1. At 3,000, sell to the nearest 100 now. At 3,000 is bid. Would you like to go 3,1 online? At 3,000, it's going to sell. Make no mistake, online bidders. At £3,000 for the first time. At £3,000 for the second time. Hammers up. Away it goes. Online bidder at £3,000. Sold at £3,000. 2005 BMW R1100S. This one is the Boxer Cup. And over to you, Steve.
Believe it or not, Tom, once upon a time, BMW didn't really build sports motorcycles. They built what they called sports touring motorcycles, including this one, the R1100S. And I had one, but I didn't have this edition because this was the rather special Boxer Cup, which, of course, was based on the bikes that raced in a one-make race series. A series which, because it was a big-name company like BMW, attracted names like Randy Mamola and Kevin Schwantz to its ranks. This road-going version has about 100 horsepower from its Boxer twin oil-cooled engine, and it has some modifications substandard. This bike is 20 years old, like lots of lovely carbon fibre and under-the-seat laser exhaust cans. The reason we've put it underneath this light is because despite the fact that it's done nearly 7,000 miles, it's absolutely mint to death. I mean, that's why we've put it here. There isn't a scratch on the thing. 20 years old, 7,000 miles. It's better than brand new, and it's a BMW.
You would never, ever know this was 20 years old if it didn't have a logbook or a number plate on it. Looks great indeed. Start me off. Who's got £3,000 for this BMW? £3,000 today, surely. 3,000 to start. How about £2,000? Oh, is that three? 2 seconds. 2,000 to start. Coming in online. 2,000 bid. Thank you, online bidder. You're in at £2,000. At £2,000, we'll go in the quarters on this one. 2-2 bid. At 2,002. At 2,224 is that. 2-4's bid. At 2,004. At 2,400 a bit now. 2,004. 2,6. At 2,600 here on the Boxer Cup. At 2,006 and 8 it goes on. At 2,800 is the bid now at 2,8. At 2,008 and £3,000. At 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. At 3,000, 3,2. At 3,200 a bit now. 3,002 is bid. The Boxer Cup at 3,4. At 3,400 is bid. At 3,4, 3,4, 3,4. At 3,400 a bit now. 3,004 is the bid. Are we coming back in for 3,6? Yes or no? At 3,004. At 3,4, 3,4, 3,4. At 3,004. I'll tell you what. 3,6. 3,6 is bid. 3,8 back in. At 3,008 is the bid now at 3,008. At 3,800 is the bid now at 3,8. I'll take 3,9 if you want to keep it going. 3,9, go to the hundreds. We won't go any lower. We'll sell it to the nearest 100 on this one. Lovely BMW Boxer Cup at just 3,8. 3,9 bid. At 3,004. 4 bid. 4 before you online. Gentleman's bid at £4,000. I'll take 1 from either of you now. At 4,000 right-handed. 4 ones online. At 4,1, 4,1, 4,1. At 4,100 is the bid now at 4,001. 4,2 it moves on. At 4,002, would you like 3, sir? At 4,002, 4,3 already. At 4,300 is the bid. At 4,3, 4,3, 4,3. At 4,300 is the bid now at 4,003. Online, left-handed, 4,4. At 4,004, 4,5 is that. 4,5's in. Cheshire bidder now at 4,005. Local money here at 4,005 online. At 4,005. At 4,005, would you like 4,6? Is that a bid on the table, sir? No, 4,005. At 4,005. Coming back in, 4,6. Gentleman's bid at 4,006. At 4,000, 4,006. 4,7. 4,7's bid. At 4,007. Online bid here at the minute at 4,007. Would anyone like 4,8? At 4,700 is the bid. Looking for you now, sir. 4,8, thank you. Gets the nod. At 4,008. At 4,000, 4,008. Online, would you like 4,9? They say yes, please. Online is bid at 4,009. 5,000 in and away. At 5,000, gentlemen's bid here in Runcorn at £5,000. At 5,001. At 5,1, 5,1, 5,1. It's against you now, sir. Walking away at 5,001. At 5,000, 5,100 is the bid. At 5,100, are we finished and done? Would you like 5,2? 5,2, yes, please, he says. 5,2, gentleman's back in now. Thank you very much, sir. It's your bid. At 5,2, not for long. 5,3, and on outright sale, it sells today. At 5,003. At 5,3, 5,3, 5,4. 5,4 in the center now at 5,004. At 5,000, 5,004, 5,5. At 5,500, it's a lovely looking bike in absolutely excellent condition. The Boxer Cup at 5,500 is online and against you now, sir. At 5,005. Hammer is up. 5,6. 5,6. At 5,600 is the bid. 5.7's back in online. At 5.7, 5.7, 5.7. At 5,700, 5.8. Thank you again. Gentleman's bid again at 5,008 online. Would you like 5.9? 5.9, they're fast online this time, sir. At 5,009, straight back in. At 5,009, shakes the head. You've come this far, sir. I'll take the 50 if it helps. Still shakes the head at 5,900, once, twice. Finished, done, selling away online at £5,900. Sold, 5.9. 8 is up next. And lot number 58, 1984, is a Yamaha XV1000. It's the HRD-Vincent Evocation Super. Modern take on an iconic classic. And it looks brilliant. And I got several commission bids on this. So obviously a lot of people also think it looks brilliant. Going to go straight in. 1,500, 1,750. 2,000. At 2,000, we'll go 2.2 next if we can to keep it nice and easy for me. At £2,000 is the bid. Take 2.2. At 2,000 is the bid now at 2,000. At 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, you coming in now. At 2.2, 2.4 back to me. At 2,004. At 2,000, 2,400 a bid. At 2.4, 2.4, 2.4. At 2,400 a bid now 2.4, 2.6. 2.8. I need to take 2.9 if you're coming in now online. At 2,008. At 2,800 is the bid. At 2,000, 2,800 are we finishing done here at 2,008. At 2,009. 3,000's back in. My commission bidder now on outright sale. It sells today. Make no mistake. At £3,000 we're selling. At 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. At 3,000 finishing done then. Last chance, fair warning. Hammers up. Once, twice, finishing done at £3,000. Sold away, bidder number 3. And 6, Suzuki Carry. Probably one of my favorite lots in the sale. I've had a good look at this one outside. A very quirky, cool looking truck. And you definitely do not see many of them. And it's very low mileage. Approximately 900 miles on this one as well. Going to start straight in with my commission bid at £2,000. At 2,000 is the bid now at 2. At 2,000, 2,000, 2,000. At 2,000 is the bid. 2.2's bid now 2.2. You're in online at 2,002. At 2,200 is the bid 2.4. At 2,400, 2.6 in the middle. At 2.6 bid, thank you, sir. At 2,600, we're bid now 2.8 online. At 2.8 in 3,000, 3.2, 3.2 here, 3.4. At 3.4, 3.4, 3.4, 3.6. At 3,006, shaking the head, walking away now. At 3,600 is the bid. At 3.6, 3.8's online, sir. At 3,008, 4,000 bid. At 4,000 now. At £4,000 the bid now, 4 is bid. Online, you coming back for another one. At 4,000, 4,000. Are we finishing done here at just £4,000? At 4,000, finishing done then. At 4,000 once. 4.2's back in. At 4,200 a bid now, Derbyshire's in. 4.2, 4.4 in the centre seated. At 4,004. At 4,400, we're bid now at 4,400 here. At 4.4. Would anyone like 4.6? At 4,400, finishing done then. Last chance. Fair warning online at 4.6 is bid. Back in, Derbyshire's in. At 4,006. At 4,600 is bid. 4.8. Thank you again, ma'am. At 4,008. At 4,800 is the bid. Online, are you coming back in? Would you like to go 5? 5,000 bidder there. At 5.2. 5.2 against you, sir. Left-handed now. At 5.2, 5.2, 5.2. At 5,002. I'll tell you what, we'll go 5.3 if it helps anyone out now. At 5.2 seated in the middle. At 5,002. Online, 5.3 here. At 5,003. 5.4 back in now at 5,004. Ladies bid. 5.5 on sale now at 5,005. At 5,500 is the bid. At 5,005. 5.6. At 5.6 seated now at 5,006. At 5,600 is the bid here at 5,006. At 5.6, 5.6. At 5,600, 5.7 it goes on. And 5.8, thank you for your fast bid back in at 5,008. At 5,800 is the bid now at 5,008. At 5,000, 5,800, are you coming back in online? At 5,800 once. 5.9's bid. 5,009 and 6,000 already. At 6,000, 6,000 seated in the middle. At £6,000. 6.1 online. At 6,001. At 6,100 is the bid. Online bid here at 6,001. Hammers up. At 6,100 it goes once. Online here at 6,100 twice. And selling online at £6,100 finished and done. 6.2, thank you. At 6,002. At 6,200 is the bid now at 6.2. At 6,200, I'm going to count you down online. Once, twice, 6.3 back in. 6,003. At 6,300 with the online bidder now at 6,003. Would anyone else like 6.4? At 6,300 once. At 6,300 twice. And it sells to the online bidder at £6,300. Sold at £6,300. Down we go to lot number 208, 2001 in the year. It's the Range Rover Vogue. It's the 4.6 here. Done about 97,000 miles. It's got a fresh MOT on it. Drives and presents well. Lovely looking thing. Start me off. Who's got 3,000 for it? 3,000 for a Range Rover, surely. 333. Anyone interested to start me off here at £3,000? 3,000, surely. How about two then? 2,000. Two's bid. Seated now at £2,000. We'll go in 200s on this one. Two twos in online at 2,002. At 2,200, 2.4's bid here, 2.4. At 2,004, 2.6, thank you. Gentleman's bid now at 2,006. At 2,000, 2,600 is the bid. 2.8 if you're coming back in online. At 2,006, or anyone else in the room, would you like to go again? 2.8's bid online. At 2,008, 3? 3's bid. Telephone bidder now at £3,000. At 3,000, 3,000 on the phone. At £3,000 is the bid now. On wheels telephone then at 3. At 3,000, 3,000, finishing done. Online, would you like to go again? Yes, please, they say. 3 2s back in. At 3,002. At 3,000, 3,200. 3.4. Telephone bidder. Thank you very much. You're in now at 3,004. At 3.4, 3.4, 3.4. At 3,400 is the bid on wheels telephone here. Right-handed at 3,400. 3.6 is back in online. 3,006. At 3.6 is the bid. At 3,006. At 3,000, 3,600 with the online bidder here at 3,006. Would you like 3.7? At 3,600 is the online bid then once at £3,600. Twice at £3,600. Are we finished? 4,000. 4,000, he says on the telephone. That's how you do it. At 4,000 is the bid. At 4,000, 4,000, 4,000. I'll take one, though, online. If you want to come back in for one more, make it nice and quick. Is at £4,000 on the telephone. At 4 is the bid. 4,1. 4,001. At 4,000, 4,100. Online bidder here at 4,100. Somewhere in the United Kingdom. It's with you. At 4,001. At 4,100 is bid now. Are we finished and done? At 4,001. At 4,100 is the bid. Hammers up. At 4,100 is the bid now at 4.1. Are we finished and done on the telephone? At 4,100. He's slowing me down. At 4,100, he says. Got to be fair to the online bidder on the telephone. At 4,001. £5,000. Yes, please. 5,000 is bid. It was worth the wait. At 5,000 now, telephone bidder, you're in. And we're on outright sale, so it's going to sell today. Telephone bidder at 5. I'll take 5.2 if you want to come back in now at £5,000. At 5,000, 5,000, hammers up. Online bid, would you like to go again? It's going to sell. 5.2 against you now, Will, at 5,002. Say 5.5 next if we can. At 5,002, it's going to sell. At 5,200 is the bid. 5.5? 5,005 back in telephone. Bidder now at 5.5. Let's go 5.8. At 5,005. Are we finishing done? We're selling to the telephone at the minute. Online, I'm looking for you now. Hammers up at 5,500 once, twice. Selling. Telephone bidder's way at £5,500. Sold. 5. We go to lot number 211 this time then. It's the 1983 Jaguar. It's the XJ6. 4.2 litre engine on this one to be offered with no reserve today. It says traditional British luxury saloon car there. I've got lots of bids there. You're in online. We'll start with your bid, 1,000. Going to go 1,200, 1,300 bid. At 1,300, I need 14 next. At 1,300 is the bid now, 13. At 13, 13, 14. Back to me, 15. My bidder now at 1,500. 1,600 here. Thank you, sir. At 1,600, my commission interest is out now at 1,600. At 1600. Would anyone like 17s in online? 18 back in now, gentlemen's bid at £1,800. At 1890. 2000. Two's bid. At 2001. 22. At 2002. Thank you for your fast bidding. 23. At 2004. At 24 is bid now at 2004. 25's back in. At 2006. At 2600 is the bid now at 2007. At 2007. 28, thank you again, sir. At 2,800, gentlemen's bid 29. They're quick online. At 2009, 3's bid. At 3,000 is the bid now seated at the front at 3. At 3,000, 3001. 3-1 is the bid. 3-2 at 3,200 here. At 3-2, 3-2, 3-2. Are we finished and done online? Would you like one more? It's your last chance in fair warning. 3-3's bid. At 3,003. At 3,300 is the bid. Shaking the head is with you at the minute online. Would anyone else like 3-4? At 3,300 here. At 3,000, 3,003. Online bid with you now at £3,300. 3-4. Telephone making an entrance again at 3,004. At 3,400 is bid. At 3,004. Would you like 3-5? Yes, please. Online says 3-5 is bid. At 3,005. Would you like 3-6 on the phone? At 3,500 online bid here. At 3,005. Would anyone else like to come in for another bid? 3-6. Oh, 3,550, he says. Okay, we'll take it. At 3,550 is bid. At 3,550 is the bid now, 3,550. Come this far on a great battle like that and you jump in at a 50. Online, 3-6. At 3,600 is bid. Would you like another 50 on the telephone? At 3,006. At 3,600 is the bid. At 3,600 the bid then, 50. 3,650 back in. At 3,650 your bid, 3-7. At 3,700. At 3,007, shaking the head then. Online's bid at 3,700. Hammers up at 3,007. Once, twice, finished, done, and selling now with the online bidder at 3,007. Sold your way online at £3,700. On to lot number 217. This time it's a 1991. It's a Vauxhall Astra GTE 8. Look at this. 1980s legendary motor vehicle. And we're going to start the bidding straight away with me at £4,000. At 4,000, 4,000. At 4,000, 4,000, 4,000 bid. At 4,000, take 2. 4-2's bid. 4-4. At 4,004. At 4-6. At 4,600 is the bid. At 4-6, 4-6 online, 4-8. At 4,008, 5,000 now. New online bidder, you're in. At £5,000, it's off to London at the minute at £5,000, 5-2. At 5,002. At 5-2, 5-2, 5-2. At 5-2. At 5-4. At 5,400 is the bid. At 5,004. At 5,400. Would you like to go 5-6 online? One more. At 5-4. At 5,400. We're going to sell it today at £5,400. It's on sale and it's gonna go. At 5,004. At 5,004. I'll take 5-5 if it helps anyone out. But the hammer's up at 5,004. At 5-5. At 5,005. New bidder online at 5,005. Norfolk's in the lead now at 5-5. At 5,005. Underbidder, would you like to go 5-6? At 5,005. Finished and done then at 5,500. 5-6. Back in at 5,006. And 5-7. At 5,700 is the bid here at 5-7, 5-8. At 5,008. 5-9, Bridgewater making an entrance there at 5-9 is against you now at 5,009. At 5,009, who'd like £6,000? At 5,900 is bid and 6,000 now. At 6,000, 6,000, your bid online at 6,001. At 6-1 the bid. At 6,001. Somerset bidder in the lead, 6-2 against you. Norfolk's in at 6,002. At 6,200 is the bid. At 6-2, 6-2, 6-2. Would anyone else like 6-3 on this one? At 6,200, are we finished and done here then? The hammer's up for the first time today on this one. 6-3. 6-3. At 6,003 is bid. 6-4 back in, thank you. At 6,004. At 6,000, 6,400 with the online bidder here at 6,400 for the first time. At 6,400 for the second time. 6-5's back in. At 6,006. At 6,600 is bid. At 6,000, 6,006. Would you like to go 6,700 underbidder? Look how great it looks. Surely one more. At £6,600 is the bid. Once. 7, 6,007, 6,8. At 6,800 is bid. At 6,008. At 6,000, 6,800, the bid is here online. At 6,008, it's gonna go. Once. Twice. 6,9. 6,009 and 7,000. Thank you for your fast bidding in Norfolk. That's how you do it. At 7,000, straight back in. At £7,000 is the bid now at 7. At 7,000, 7,000, 7,000. I'll take one more. At 7,000, the bid then once. Twice. Finished and done, and it sells this time at £7,000. Sold. 7,000. 5, 4, 1, 2, 5. Moving on to lot number 220 is the 1968 Ford Cortina, and over to Mr. Stephen Berry.
Now, Tom, one of my habits and one of the things that I enjoy doing, every man's got to have a hobby on the internet. Don't worry, we're not straying into dark waters. Is to correct people who don't know the proper name of the Tamworth-built three-wheeler. It's not the Robin Reliant. It's the Reliant Robin. And I love to correct people. But I wonder if you could tell me what this car is called, because the number of people that would say it's a Lotus Cortina, and that, of course, is wrong. But then again, virtually everybody in this room knew that. Believe it or not, the name of the Mark I was the Ford Consul Cortina developed by Lotus. That was its official name, which I think everybody agree was a bit of a mouthful. By the time we got round to the Mark II, and did you know perhaps you didn't, that the Mark I was made by Lotus, the Mark II was made by Ford. You all did that. You all knew that, didn't you? They all knew that. Was actually made by Ford on the production line at Dagenham. This is a very historic version of that car, owned by a racing driver called Mike Spence. What an interesting character he was. Look him up. He's got a story. He was Jim Clark's teammate. He raced in Formula One, and people are thinking, those colours look familiar. Mike was a works driver for Allen Man Racing, and of course, these are the Allen Man Racing colours, red with the gold stripe. Did you know, by the way, that with the Mark II, you could have the car in a solid colour, or at no extra cost to you, the customer, you could get the stripe. This car's in fantastic condition, both the exterior, the interior. The engine looks immaculate. The car is absolutely on the money. And in a day when people go absolutely crazy for the Sierra Cosworth, why not be a bit smarter and get its daddy, the Cortina Lotus?
Yes, let's see how much this one's worth then today. 1968 Ford Cortina there. Start me off. Who's got 20,000 to start? Anyone interested at 20? How about £15,000 to start it off today then? 15,000 surely. 15,000 coming in. Anyone interested at 15,000? We'll go to 10 on this one then. 10 to start it off today. 10's in the middle. Thank you, sir. At 10,000 is the bid. At 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. At £10,000. 11. 11 bid. 11,000 now. 11, I'll say 12 next. 12,000's bid. 13's bid. At 13 and 14, 15 bid. At 15,000 now, 16's bid. 17's bid. 18's bid. At 18,000 now, your bid at 18. At 18,000. At 18,000, say 5 if it helps. At £18,000. At 18,000, would you like 5? 18,5. 19's back in. 19,5. 20,000. At 20,000 now. At 20,000, 20,000. Would you like to stay again? At £20,000 we're up to. I'll look for you now online or anywhere else in the room. 20,005. At 20,001. 21's bid. At 21,000 is the bid now at 21. At 21, 21. Would anyone else like another 500? At 21, it's your bid already, sir. At £21,000. At 21,000 here. Online, would you like to go again? At 21,000, gentlemen seated here. At £21,000. Are we all finished and done on this one? At £21,000. The last chance in fair warning then. At £21,000. I'm going to count you down. 21,500. 22, thank you, sir. At 22, straight back in. At 22, would you like another 500? Are you sure? At £22,000. At 22,000. Online, you come back in for one more. At 22,000 is the bid at the minute. At 22,000, 22,500. Telephone. 22,500, 23. £23,000 is the bid now at 23. At 23.23. At £23,000 online, are you coming back in? At £23,000 or the telephone. Got to be fair to the gentleman seated here at 23,000. At 23,000, I'm going to start counting you down then. 23,250, okay. 23,5. 23,5. At 23,500. Would you like the 750? Yes, please. 23,750, 24. At 24,000. At £24,000 is the bid. At 24,000, are you finishing done on the phone? 24,250 says no. 24,500. At 24,500. You're still hanging on in online. You coming in at 24,500. 24,750. 25,000, and we're on sale from this point. I'll put the hammer up now at £25,000. Says no. Once to the gentleman in the room at 25,000. Twice, finished and done. Your bid, sir, at £25,000. Thank you very much. At 2242, 2007 in a year is the Porsche Boxster 3.4S. Absolute stunning in the blue as well. I've got lots of commission bids on my book, so let me just run through these in a minute. I'm going to go straight in at 4, 4.5, 5,000, 5.5, £6,000, and on outright sale from the word go. At £6,000 is the bid. At 6,000, 6,000, 6,000. At £6,000 now. Let's go 6-2 if anyone wants to come in on this one. It's at £6,000 at the minute. At 6,000, 6,000, 6-2's bid. 6-4's back to me. At 6,004, 6-6, 6-8's my bid. At 6,008, would you like to go 7,000 online? At 6,800 is the bid here then with my commission bidder at the minute. At 6,008. At 6,800 is bid. At 6,000, 6,008, would anyone else like to come in for £7,000? 7,000's online. 2 back in with me at 7,002. At 7,000, 7,002. Online, would you like to go 7-4? At 7,002 is the bid. At 7-2, 7-2, 7-2, 7-2. 7-4, 7-4, 7-6 is bid. At 7,600 with my commission interest still. 7-6, 7-8. £8,000 now. At 8,000 is the bid now at 8. At 8,000, 8,000, 8,000. At 8,000, 8,000, I'll take 2 if you're coming back in. 8-2, 8-4. 8-4 back in with me on my commission interest now at 8,004. At 8-4 is the bid. At 8,004, online needs to be 8-6. If you're coming in, it's now or never. We're at £8,400 with my commission bidder and selling today. Once at 8,004, twice at 8,400, finishing done, and it sells at 8,400. Sold at £8,400. Lot number 244 this time is the 1993. It's the Jaguar XJS. It's the 4-litre one then. Well presented Grand Tour with low recorded mileage on this one. About 45,000 miles. It's owned for 22 years by our vendor as well. And it looks great there driving around on your screens now. Start the bidding off on this one. Anyone interested at £6,000 to start? 6,000 to get it going. How about £4,000 then? Won't go any lower. £4,000 to open it up today. £4,000, surely. Queuing up. Someone just needs to start. Thank you online. Australia, 4,005. At 5,000 is the bid. Go 5,500 if we can. At 5,000, 5,500, gentleman's bid here at 5,005. At 5,005. 6,000's in online. Would you like another 5? 6,500, he says, yes, please. At 6,005. At 6,000, 6,005 is the bid at the minute. 7,000. Say 2? 7,2, okay. At 7,002. 7,4. At 7,4 with you in Hampshire in a minute. Would you like 7,6, sir? At 7,004 is the bid here. 7,6, thank you. At 7,600 is bid. 7,8. 7,8. Telephone bid at 7,8. 8,000 here. 8,000 is bid. Would you like 2, sir? 8,2. At 8,002. Telephones are online. Who wants 8.4? 8.4 online do. Shakes the head. So looking for you on the telephones now. At 8,004 is an online bid here. Would anyone else like 8.6? At 8,004. At 8,400. 8.6 already online. Sorry about that. And thank you. 8.8. 8.8 is bid. At 8,008. 8,008 and £9,000 now. It's going to go today. I'm going to get the hammer up. Ready to sell. 9.2. 9,002 is the bid. At 9,002. 9.4. 9.4 is bid telephone now. 9.6. At 9,600 we're online. At 9.6, 9.6, 9.6. 9.8. Tim's telephone at 9,008. 10,000 is bid. At 10,000, 10,002. Competing with multiple bidders online at 10,002. At 10.2 is the bid. At 10,002, 10.4 is bid on the telephone now at 10,004. 10.6 is straight back in at 10,006. At 10,600 is the bid. 10.8. Online, you knocked one of the telephones out and then the other one jumped straight back in at 10,008. Would you like 11,000? At 10.8 is bid. 11,000, yes, please. At £11,000 is the bid now at 11. It's a lovely Jaguar indeed. Right down here by the telephone bidders. Thank you. Will says 11.2. Before you online, I seen you tried getting in there, but you were just a little bit too slow, just behind the curve. At 11.2 on the phone. At 11,002, would you like to go 11.4? It's gonna sell then. Hammers up. At 11,200 on Will's telephone then once. At 11,204. And 6 is that. 11,006. Double bid in there online with you at £11,600 in Hampshire at the minute. At 11,006. Would you like to go 11.8? £11.8, he says on the phone. Thank you very much. 11.8 is now the bid at £11,800. At 11.8 online, would you like to go 12? At 11,800 is the bid at the minute. At 11.8, 11.8, 11.8. Are we finishing done then? Hammers up. At 11,008 and 12 bid. At 12,000 now. At £12,000. Hampshire bidders back in. At 12,000 is the bid. 12.2, thank you. At 12.2 bid. Telephone bidder now on Will's telephone at £12,200. At 12.2. Online, would you like to go 12.4? Hammers up. At 12,200 once. At 12,200 twice. We're finished and done and selling. Make no mistake online at £12,200 to the telephone. 12.4. 12.4. At £12,400. At 12,004. 12.6. Thank you, telephone bidder now. At 12,006. At 12,600 is the bid. At 12,600 once, twice, and selling. Telephone's way. Finished and done at £12,600. At £12,600. Sold at £12,600. Thank you. 48 is this 2004 Aston Martin then. DB9 there. Sophisticated British GT as well. It looks great. It's one of the first cars I caught my eye yesterday coming in. Absolute lovely motor indeed. Going to start. You've got several commission bids. You're at 6.5, 7,000, 7.5, 8,000. 8.5, 9, 9.5, £10,000 is with my commission interest now. At £10,000 we start and on sale. At £10,000 is the bid. At 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. Lots of bidders on this one. 10.5. My interest is out. At 10.5 and 11 bid. At 11,000, 11,000. At £11,000 is the bid at the minute. £11,000 is with you in Essex. Lovely car for just £11,000. Look at what you're getting. At 11,000 is the bid. At 11,000, 11,000, 11,000. We'll go 11.5, no need. At 11,005. At 11.5, 11.5, 11.5. Would anyone else like £12,000 now? At 11,005. At 11.5, 11.5. I'll tell you what, we'll go 11.6 and then we'll go 11.8. At 11,005, who wants 11,600? 11,600, yes please, they say online. Next bid's 11,800. At 11,600 is bid 11,800. Thank you online, you're in at 11,800. At 11,008 and 12,000 now. At £12,000 is the bid. At 12,000, 12,000, 12,000. Hammers in my hand is going to sell at £12,000. Would anyone else like to come in for another £200? At 12,200 you do. At 12,200 online. At 12,002. At 12,200 is the bid now at 12,002. At 12,200, 12,200, 12,200. Are we finishing done at £12,200? At 12,004. Thank you, sir. At 12,004. Online, would you like to go 12,600? At 12,400 is a gentleman's bid here. At £12,400 and selling today. Hammers up once at £12,400, 12,600. Welcome in the West Midlands is with you at 12,006. At 12,600, would you like 12,800? Thank you. 12,800's bid. At £12,800. At 12,000, 12,008. Online, would you like to go 13? At 12,800, hammers up once. Twice. Finished in, 13's back in now, 13. New bidder there in North Yorkshire at £13,000. At 13,000, 13,000. At 13,000 is the bid now at 13. At 13, 13 bid. Are we finishing done? Would you like to go 13.2, sir? Shakes the head. Online once. 13.2. New bidder does though at 13,002. At 13.2 is the bid now at 13.2. At £13,200, we are bid now at 13.2. Finishing done here at 13,002. Once, twice, hammers up and selling now at £13,200. Sold at 13.2, 1159. 59, 1984 Mercedes-Benz. This is the 230 TE. Again, a rare example to find, and we're offering it today at Manor Park with no reserve, and I've got bids galore on my screen, and you've got a few bids there. I'm going to go in with your bid at 1,500. I'll go 1,600, 1,700, 1,800, and I need to take 2,000 next if I can. At 1,800 is the bid. 2,000, 2,2's back on my book. At 2,002. 2,4, I'm out and you're in online at £2,400. 2,6, 2,8, 2,8's bid at 2,008. At 2,000, 2,800 is the bid now at 2,008 and 3,000 back in. At 3,000, would anyone else like to come in for another two? At 3,000, 3,2's online. At 3,000, 3,002, 3,4. At 3,4 bid. At 3,004, London bidder at 3,4, 3,6, somewhere in the United Kingdom with you at 3,006. At 3,6 is the bid. At 3,000, 3,600, would you like to go 3,800 now? 3,800 you do, and 3,800 bid. 4,000's next. At 3,008. At 3,000, 3,800 is the bid now 4. At £4,000. At 4,000, 4,000 the bid, and 4,000 and 4,200. At 4,200, 4,200 online at 4,200. Would anyone else like to go 4,400? At 4,200 is the bid here at the minute in Leicestershire at 4,200. Are we finished and done? Underbidders. Would you like to come back in again at 4,200? 4,400, yes please. At 4,004 is the new bid. At 4,000, 4,004. At 4,400 a bid. At 4,000, 4,004, we finished and done online. 4,600, no they're not. 4,600, it goes on. Leicestershire's back in now at £4,600 is your bid online. At 4,006, would you like to go 4,800 underbidder? At 4,006. At 4,600, the bid now 4,006 is bid. Hammers up. It's to be sold. Make no mistake. Finished and done at £4,600. 4,800. 4,800 bid. At 4,008 now, 4,800 and £5,000 back in. At £5,000 is between London and Leicestershire at the minute. And Leicestershire, you're in at 5. At £5,000. At 5,000, 5,000, say 2 anywhere else. At 5,000 is the bid now at 5,002. At 5,200, 5,200, 5,200. At 5,200 we're bid. Would you like to go 5,400 underbidder? Make it nice and quick if you do. At 5,200, 5,400. At 5,400 and 5,600. Thank you, London. Straight back in with you at 5,006. At 5,600 is the bid now at 5,006. Would you like to go 8? Hammers up at 5,600. once, twice, and it sells this time then at £5,600, finished and done. It's 5.6. Thank you very much. At £5,600. That was 266 is up next. Lot number 266 is this 1990 MG Metro, another one of our Metros in today's sale. Quite a sporty looking Metro this one is. Done about 62,000 miles on this one. Supplied with V5 registration documents and book pack as well. And we're straight in online, running away at the minute and going to go 6,000s with your bid. At 6,000 straight away. And on sale from the word go this one. Let's go 6.2. At 6,000 is bid. In the market now at £6,000. At 6,002, at 6.2, coming back in online, 6.4, 6.6, at 6,006, 6.8, £7,000 is an online bid. At 7,000 here, take 2 again. At 7,000, 7,000, 7.2, at 7,200 your bid now, sir. At 7,002 seated, at 7,002. It sells today at £7,200 online if you're coming back in. For one more, now's your chance. 7.4, okay, they say. At 7,004. I'll take 7.5 if it helps you out, sir. I'll do you the favor. You've come this far. At 7,004. Would you like 7.5? 7.5's bid, thank you. At 7,005. At 7,005. Online, would you like to go 7.6? At 7,500 once. At 7,500 twice. With the gentleman here then. And selling now at 7,006. At 7.6 is bid. Shakes the head. You're in online at £7,600 with you at the minute in Somerset at 7,006. At 7,600. Would anyone else like to come in for one more? I'll count you down once, twice. Finished and done and sells this time online at £7,600. Sold at 7.6, 18528. 300. I'm going to go over to Steve Berry, sadly, for the last time today.
Never mind. Just try to live with it. Now, back there, we've got a Jag. But this isn't a Jag. It's a Stag. I've just been talking to the cameraman. I'll move to one side and let him show you. Just what a handsome car it is. Look at it. It looks... Yes, we know that the Stag had issues back in the day. But like a lot of cars that had issues, time has healed. We've found solutions to problems that may have existed. Now, the problem with this car was that it's, well, what year is it, this one? 1972. Goodness me, over 50 years old, over half a century old. And so it needed a revamp. It needed a refresh. In fact, it needed a total restoration. And that's exactly what it got. A bare metal restoration, new sills, new panels, a rust-free bonnet, doors, everything. The guy went through it, stem to stern, top to bottom. No expense was spared. We have a file detailing at least 30,000 quid's worth of expenditure on this Stag. And you could just go around and look at it. I mean, the respray alone must have cost a hefty amount. And just look at these mini-light style wheels and these big, gorgeous, fat Yokohama tires. They fill that wheel well so much better than the original wheels. I like a Jag. I like a Stag. And if there's a Stag that I like, it's this one. Somebody today is going to benefit from the enormous amount of time, effort, and cold hard cash that somebody put into this car. Tom, somebody is absolutely going to bag a Stag today.
I had a good look around this one as well. It looks absolutely great indeed. And out of all the Stags we've had today, it's probably one of my favorite ones in the auction. Ness is asking for £7,000 online. It seems reasonable to me. Anyone interested to start me off at £7,000? £7,000 to get it going. £7,000 surely. Seven's bid online. Thank you very much, online bidder. Let's go 7.5. At 7,000, 7,000. At 7,000 is the bid now at 7,000. At 7,000 with the online bid at the minute at £7,000. At 7,000, 7,005. At 7,005, Staffordshire's in. At 7,005, 8,000, thank you, sir. At £8,000, right-handed. At 8,000 is bid. At 8,000, 8,000, would you like to go 5? At £8,000 is the bid. I'll take 250 if it helps you out at £8,000. Let's go in the quarters on this one. Only a couple of lots today. 8,250. 8,250's bid. Gentleman's bid. At 8,250 here. 8,5. 8.5, 750, sir? 8,750 here, now seated. Thank you very much. 9,000's bid. At 9,000, 9,000. Another 250? 9,250. At 9,250, we're bid. It's all in the room. 9,500. At 9,005. 9,750? 9,750, okay, gets the nod. Shaking the head. It's with the gentleman seated at £9,750 at the minute. At 9,750, 9,750. At £9,750, telephone, would you like to go 10? At 9,750 is bid. At 9,750, 10's bid on the phone. 10 on the phone now. Telephone bid at 10. At 10,000, would you like another quarter, sir? 10,250, thank you very much. 10,250, gentleman's bid. At 10,250 is the bid at the minute. At 10,250, 10,250. 10,500. It's on sale from this point, ladies and gentlemen. At 10,500 on the phone. At 10,500, would you like 10,750? 10,750, okay. At 10,750. 11,000. Can I go 11,200 just to make it a little easier for me? At 11,000 on the phone, would you like 11,200? 11,200. 11,400 is next. 11,200. At 11,200, we're bid. 11,400. Tough phone bidder today, sir. 11,400 back in. At 11,400, would you like 11,600? 11,600. Nods okay. At 11,600. 11,800. 11,008 on the telephone. 11,008. Next bid's 12. Thank you very much, sir. £12,000. At 12,000 is the bid. 12,200. 12,200. Telephones back in. It is a great example of a stag indeed. At £12,200 is on the telephone. Take 10,400. 10,400. Thank you. 10,400 is bid. Sorry, 12,400. Confusing myself. Long day. 12,600. Go on, 12,600. We come this far. I've got to be fair to the gentleman who's come all this way. 12,600. Thank you. On the phone at 12,600. I tried to out you out there, sir. At 12,600. Would you like 12,800? 12,800. Okay. 12,800. No drop in the increment on this one. It sells to the highest. 13,000. At 13,000's bid. At 13,000, 13,000. Having a good conversation. Would you like to? 13,200. 13,200's bid. At 13,002. At 13,200, are you finished and done on the telephone? 13,400. Tough bidder on the phone at £13,400. 13,400. I think they're slowing up, sir. Would you like to go 13,600? 13,600, okay. At 13,600. At 13,600. 13,800. 13,800's back in. At 13,800, 13,800. At 13,800. Are you finished? Are you done? One more? Thank you very much. 14,000's bid. At £14,000. At 14,000. Gonna have to speed you up on the phone. At 14,000. Can't do it. We've come twos. This gentleman's come this way. 14,200's next. At £14,000, I need two. It's come all this way into it. 14,200? 14,200, okay. At 14,200. At 14,200. Next bid's 14,400. At £14,200 we're bid. Would you like to go 14,400? 14,400. At 14,400. Next bid's 14,600. At 14,400. Shakes the head. Yours, sir. At 14,400. No one else is coming in. Once, twice, finished and done. Yours. 14,400.